Hey everyone, my name is Alex Smades, the real estate dude, and today I am super excited because we got a whole bunch of good things going on. First of all, this is episode number 10, and I actually remember the episode number because I haven't done that for one episode yet, so there's that. Second, we are interviewing Amber Brophy, who, if I listed everything off, it would take an hour just to list everything off.
Probably true.
But what is it? Media coordinator is what we decided on, right?
Right.
Media coordinator at Alyeska Title Guarantee Agency. She was licensed with Keller Williams brokerage selling real estate. She owned a cosmetic makeup do-it-all amazing company. She's been a social media influencer for the longest time. She used to do commercials when she was a kid. I could go on for days.
Teenager.
Right.
Young adult. Not a kid, really.
Not young adult. And then the final thing before we jump into this is if you watch the whole video, comment with the timestamp of your favorite part so I can play with it and do some other stuff. So if you watch it, please do that. I ask you. Okay, you ready to jump into it? Now it's all about Amber.
I know. I didn't know we were Facebook living. Yes. She's like, podcast.
Surprise!
My face was going to be shown. I'm like, ah.
Okay, so like I said, we're starting with the very beginning.
Okay.
You were born in Muldoon, weren't you? Yeah.
I was born in Anchorage.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was raised
Anchorage,
Muldoon raised, East Side raised, yeah.
Okay, so tell me that story from like where you were born, your childhood, up to like when you started high school.
So my parents actually started off pretty humble. I mean, really, they were in a trailer when I was born. And they worked their way up to a smaller condo on the east side of town, and then we moved to a bigger house, and then a bigger house, and then a bigger house, and ultimately, I mean, I was raised in not the best side of town, but I actually loved that I was, because I feel like it made me a little bit more, I don't know, worldly.
So when you say you went into a bigger house, that was bigger in perspective, bigger, or bigger like meaning like we lived in a big fucking house?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, we moved. I mean, my parents, my dad started off in the mailroom at Alaska USA, and now he's like one of the big wigs there. My mom wanted to do something to make extra money, and she was kind of shy. And she started selling Tupperware, of all things, on the side, and then she became like top in the nation.
Killer at it, right?
Yeah, she was like top. Yeah. She's amazing. She still is amazing. So I think seeing that work ethic and seeing parents that were really young and like started working really, really hard, kind of instilled that go-getter work ethic.
I definitely we're gonna put like a little blip on this part because I feel like it's gonna come back.
It will.
There's gonna be a theme here that's gonna come back to like from the beginning. Look at the theme in the story, right? Okay. So you grew up in Muldoon? Was that like you went to high school at Muldoon High School? I don't know if there's Muldoon High School anyway.
So I went to Scenic Park Elementary. I went to Wendler Junior High. So it really wasn't East Side. That was more like Midtown. Okay. But we were like bused from which was kind of crazy, being bused all the way from Muldoon to Midtown for junior high. And then like only like 20% or something, 25% of the kids from Wendler would go back to Bartlett. So we didn't know a lot of people when I switched back to the high school. I mean, the kids I grew up with when I was really little, but it was weird how they lined it up. So I went to a Bartlett, and I was there only until my junior year, and then I left Bartlett.
Okay. Tell me that. Why did you leave? Did you choose to leave Bartlett is the first question?
I chose to leave Bartlett. My parents mostly. I mean, we chose to leave Bartlett. I was bullied really severely at Bartlett, like after school special bullied. So I grew up with a lot, of people on that side of town, but there were only a very selective few that kind of stood by, and it was, I don't know what was more defeating, if it's actually being bullied or the people that you grew up with since like kindergarten, first, second grade, some of them just standing there and doing nothing, which I think makes you just as guilty as the bully. So it was extra hard for me because I've always been this like undying loyalty person. And so, I don't know what was harder, actually having people being jerks to me, or like the people that I've known my whole life, just kind of watching it happen and not really doing. There were a few that did, but most did not.
So was it like, I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but was it like something that built, or was it like there's a new kid in town and he's a dick.
No, honestly, I was like, my freshman year, I was like, started with like, oh, I got voted homecoming princess, and not because I knew a lot of people, because I also had like, I was involved with choir, I sang opera.
Everybody knew you from the commercials.
No, I wasn't in commercials. I was so nerdy, Alex. You don't even understand. Like, I could show. I mean, I should get you my phone out and be like, here's my third grade picture. And I was really I thought I was pretty dorky, but I was just nice. I felt like I was kind of nice to everyone. I've always stood up for the underdog. So I had a lot of friends in all different groups. So I was voted that. And after that, I don't know. It just, everything changed, and a guy got mad at me and kind of decided that he wanted to start a fake rumor about me, and I don't know, just high school stuff. Just
spiraled out of control, right?
Stuff. But it was like after school special style bullying. Like, we're not talking like picking on you bullying. We're talking about like lit my car on fire bullying.
Oh.
And sprayed bear mace on my door handles, and on the, back, you're way young, but back in the day you had to roll down your windows, especially here, so that
those hand cranks.
Yeah, with the hand.
Yeah, that's why people got bad shoulders now.
Shut up! Get out of here. So yeah, you had to roll it down, and basically, so your inside your window didn't frost up. You had to leave it cracked a little bit. And so they literally took bear mace and sprayed inside of my car. So I was on the way back to school from lunch and burnt my retinas and corneas and couldn't wear my contacts and switched schools. It was
okay. So it was like real deal. Like it wasn't like they called me ugly bullying, right? It was like real affect your life style.
It was changed my life.
So, so absolutely it would change your life, because like you said, not only were you dealing with bullies, you were dealing with friends that weren't actually friends because they weren't stepping up.
Looking back now, I would never be like this, but there's just two types of people, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's people that aren't afraid to stand up for the underdog and speak their mind, and there's people who think by staying out of things and not getting involved and staying neutral is just as fine, and I don't agree with that. I mean, obviously, everybody knows I'm mouthy as all get out. I mean, I've always been the kind of person that's like, if I see somebody in trouble, or if I see, I always interject. It gets me in trouble a lot because, I mean, one of my best guy friends and I he has this code word with me now that's like Charles. So every time I like overexert myself in someone else's
Hey, Charles.
Yeah, he's like, Charles, time to go. I mean, we like have this thing. But I actually like that part about me. Okay. And I think a lot of it comes from that. But I was a lot more meek then.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to ask you is, how did you deal with the bullying? Was it like you kind of like went super down deep and like you were just like, don't talk to anybody? Like you got kind of like super introverted kind of place? Or did you like seek other people out? Like how did you deal with this time? Especially once you left Bartlett, because
you're just going for it, Alex. Absolutely. I mean, you're just going to make me like...
We're deep.
So I think that triggered some big emotional stuff for me that still affects me today. Right. Like, for sure. And I was extremely depressed, to the point where it was scary. Like, to the point where, like, scary.
And that's why I want to talk about it, because it definitely plays a part in your story now. Right?
Well,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And then when I switched schools, there were a couple girls in particular, but I'm going to go, can I give shout outs on here? Like, shout out Crystal, Trisha, Knox.
It's your story.
Exactly. So when I went to Chugiak, I literally switched schools and drove out every day. The choir teacher called and said, I heard you're looking to switch schools. Come out here. I was opera singer. I was seated first in state for first and second soprano. So he was like, come out to Chugiak. So I got kind of pushed to Chugiak. So I drove every day.
So let's jump into that side of the story. We'll lighten it up a little bit. You were in the opera. You're a killer singer. I know that about you. Were you super entrepreneurial too in high school, or was it?
I was in student government. I ran pep assemblies. I had no problem getting in front of people. I mean, it's funny because of singing. I was actually more timid singing. When you're vocally trained like that, it wasn't even fun. Like, it was like, you went to voice lessons all the time. It was more regimented, and it was before, like, the whole, like, Britney Spears and all those days. So, like, music was just kind of music. Yeah. I don't know what it was about that era, but I feel like it definitely changed, like, the fun of music.
Okay.
And I was intimidated by that because it's such a regimented training.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So you were definitely not really entrepreneurial, like you weren't going and selling gum. in high school?
No, I mean, I always had something. I always had a job of some sort. Because my parents, you know, they didn't really get into really big money until like my senior year of high school. My mom bought the franchise in Oregon. And so I always worked, and I had like a crappy car. I mean, I've always had that ethic to kind of work. I did take advantage of it in college, though. They had money, and I was like, woo, in my wild days, you know?
Right, you had to live it up a little bit.
I mean, high school sucked, so college was where I was at.
Yeah, you're like, I'm getting out of here.
I was like, free! Yeah. But, no, I didn't have that entrepreneur background then.
Okay.
I was more meek, a little bit more, I was depressed. I felt like a victim, which I hate that word now. I hate the word victim. And I definitely viewed myself a lot differently. I look back at that time and I'm like, kind of, who was that? But it took those two girls who I was mentioning when I went out to Chuyak, the very first day I switched schools. I came out to my car and I don't like to cuss on camera, but I think assholes from Bartlett had followed me out to Chuyak and like egged my car. And we're not talking like a little bit of eggs, we're talking like Costco eggs. And I just
Costco eggs, all the eggs, all the chickens, all the eggs.
Yeah, so I like walk out and I'm like standing there. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Like the entire car was covered. And these girls, one I barely knew, one I didn't know at all. Her little sister walked up behind me and they were like, who did this? And she was like, we made this pact plan to kind of retribution, and I had them behind me, and they ultimately are what shifted me, is moving to a town. I mean, we're going to go over right now, but moving to a town like this, it was so small, and them accepting me and just being like, come with us, and then having those bold girls that were like, nobody's going to mess with you. I started to build my confidence again, and I noticed that definitely changed
your life.
Everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything. I don't think that I remember, I'm not going to cry, but it kind of makes me laugh. I don't think that those girls that were around me at that time, like my friends, I mean, Danielle, Trisha, Crystal, I don't think they realized at that time how impactful just having somebody who had a loud voice was. And I think, I'm crying, but I think that's why I have such a loud voice now, is because I know how much it impacted me. And so, you know.
You were like that.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
And in business, when I started doing businesses and I started having the confidence to do more and more, that was something that I always took to heart. Was I always had people working for me or around me that maybe needed that help, or were a good friend of mine and I wanted to help them. I probably gave away way more than I should have, and that's probably why Core doesn't exist anymore. But at the end of the day, I feel really good about it because it's empowering. You know, I hope that I was able to like empower or build other people up, especially women, up in business.
Right. Absolutely.
You know? And that's kind of, we've just been around the world.
Well, so you started off, you didn't grow up in the best situation. I mean, growing up in a trailer isn't necessarily bad all the time. I was in a trailer once before.
Yeah.
It's
I was
not the
until
worst.
I was like 2.
Right.
I mean, I don't even remember it. But my parents had a small condo.
Right. But you started small and grew.
Right.
And then in the high school years, you definitely had like some struggles. Like we'll call them character building years.
Serious trauma.
So, but then your senior year, really it sounds like the catalyst for your life. Like that's when shit actually started changing.
Junior, senior, yeah.
Like you said, in your senior year is when your mom started like actually having some real success. Yeah. You moved to different high schools and you started finding some confidence and some self-esteem and stuff like that in there, right? Like senior year really was like a big change for you.
Well, my parents moved to Oregon my senior year, and so like half of my junior year went to Chuyak, and literally they were like, we're leaving. And I was like, I was not against it after everything I'd been through. And we moved to Oregon. Didn't really work out. I had a new group of friends there. I wish I would have brought this silly article that they wrote about me in Medford, because there were like 3 new students, and I'm like up against the locker looking like this lonely student that just moved to Medford. But you know, being able to put myself in new situations after growing up with the same people forever, and being able to be somebody or make something of myself in those new groups too, really made me confident about myself. And I think that, I mean, look, I'm in a marketing position now. I mean, I have no problem talking to anyone. And I think that those seeds were planted in moving or having forced to go to different places and rebuild yourself.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, like you were in one bad situation, but now you're in 2 new situations between Chudiak High School and Oregon.
Yeah.
Where super easily, like, you found people that loved you and like you started flourishing.
Right. And I think just having that, it was like, it wasn't about like what had happened before. It was more like how I was able to just make myself be in any situation. Right. I mean, I know you know this one, but I mean, I have friends on all walks of life. Mm-hmm. Like literally all walks of life. I saw a girl that I grew up with since kindergarten. We were at Northway Mall the other day, walked up to me, haven't seen her in 20 years, and obviously making bad life choices. Mm-hmm. And she walked up and she gave me a huge hug and she was like, "You were always so nice to me," you know? And I'm like, those are the moments I'm like,
yes, like positive impact in other people's lives.
That's all I care about. I don't care about a dime. I care about making sure that I am influencing or bringing happiness somehow to somebody else's life. I like that. I mean, I'm tough. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Not like a weakling. I'm tough. I got it.
I cut you.
I cut you. Well, yeah, the east side. But you know, I really want to build people up. I want to help people.
Yeah.
More mostly.
So now we're at the point in your story. You're building confidence. You have a lot of confidence now. You're living in Oregon. Graduated high school, right?
Well, I went back to Alaska because the credit requirements were crazy there, and I actually tested out.
Okay.
If I would have known I could have tested out of high school, I would have tested out at 15. I mean, I was like,
you'd been like, I'm done.
Well, I was super smart my whole life. I was in all honors classes and high gifts.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't though.
Right.
Because all of that stuff that you went through and built the confidence in going to Oregon and finding this new group of friends to come back and test out. I mean, it kind of all went
this way. But had I known that, I won't lie, I would have been like, I'm out.
Yeah. Give me some tests. I'll take a few tests.
Yeah, okay. It's gone.
So now you tested out. You're back in Alaska. Mm-hmm. What were you thinking then? Was it like, I want to go to college? Was it, I want to go to the military? Was it, I want to start my own business? Was it jump right into the workforce? Like, what was your plan right after high school?
So I thought about going to school for music, but then I was burnt on music. And I had started being a wild child. Okay. You know, I actually started that way prior. I always tapped on that wild child. But I had started making maybe some bad decisions with partying and being wild. Okay. That we don't really want to get into.
It's your story to tell. Yeah. You tell me whatever
I think people probably know this. I mean, I've gone this way and that way with that. Yeah.
So instead of following the music, which you originally thought you were, you decided to go to college and tap on that wild child card.
So my parents lived in Southern Oregon, so I was like, where is the #1 party school on the West Coast?
Oregon.
No, it's Chico State. Oh. So I was like, Mom, Dad, I've got to go to Chico State.
And they were like, perfect, you'll
be
close.
That sounds great, you're close to us. And And so I wanted to go to school for like, my idea was going in and coaching, being like a business coach. Okay. Or speech, I wanted to give public speeches on building people up and speak. It's always something I want to do. I want to do speech. It wasn't speech therapy, but it was business. It was like a business or marketing degree, but my whole idea was just going in and working with like upper executives or people in the workforce on how to do public speaking. And how to build themselves up. Ironically, look at this. Yeah. I know.
Look at what happens.
Right. Yeah. And I hated science. And then later when we'll talk, I ended up making a makeup line, which was total based on science.
Chemistry. It's all chemistry.
I would have never in a million years. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're in Chico State. Did you get a degree from Chico State? You're like, no, wild child is better.
I learned how to throw one hell of a party in Chico State. But no, I did not get a degree from Chico State.
Okay. But I think the good out of coming from Chico State is, just like you said in your story, like, you wanted to help build people up and be in that marketing role.
Well, and I'd always done makeup. So, I did makeup just for fun. I mean, when you're on stage, too, and then you're doing musicals, you're always doing makeup. And so I got good at makeup really young. So everyone always asked me to do their makeup. I was in a sorority. So everyone was like, do you do my makeup? So I got good at makeup. We had some funny stories behind that. But I got good at makeup. And then I started to get sick pretty bad. I mean, I always was a little sick. But then when I was in college, I got really sick.
What do you mean?
So I have stage 4 endometriosis. Okay. And at that time, we didn't know really what it was. And
how was it affecting you, though? Like, what was it? Like fatigue? Was it pain? Was it all the above? What?
All the above.
Okay.
So, do you know what it is?
Not a clue.
So
I don't like science either.
So I'm like, I'll get scientific on you.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you're a boy, so you might want to earmuffs this a little bit, but
Yeah, the 1,500 people that are gonna watch this.
Hi.
All the males, you earmuff it. You don't want to hear it. Get out of here.
Yeah. So basically, it's like where your uterine tissue from inside your body. Every month you bleed and you you shed. It kind of backflows, and you get pieces of that uterine tissue that attach to places outside of your uterus.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, it's more than this, but every month when you go to ovulate and then thicken and then shed, wherever that is, it's happening inside your body.
Okay.
So in your uterus, it's painful enough as a woman, as we know, you can kind of feel it. But if that's happening, attached to your colon or your bladder, or pulling and creating adhesions, it's literally the most painful thing ever.
Yeah, I can see it in your face. Like you just stared off into nowhere, and you were like,
it's horrific.
Yeah.
It's a horrible thing to have, and especially when you're young. And I had a family history, so we kind of knew maybe that would be it. But really, I'd had problems with it since very young. So at first, it started off just like with your cycle. You're like, it hurts.
Yeah.
And then it started from ovulation cycle, and then it was all the time. And I was sick all the time because when you've got, they don't claim it to be an autoimmune disorder yet. I bet you they do in the next couple years.
Yeah.
When you have something like that and your body's constantly fighting inflammation, you're sick.
Sick and tired and
I got every flu, every cold. I was miserable.
Yeah, because your immune system's fighting all the time.
Yeah, I was always bloated. I was always sick, Alex. It was horrible.
Okay.
So my first official surgery, I think we knew I had endometriosis because of family history, but I didn't have insurance. And it wasn't as easy, and pre-existing conditions were a big deal then. So I had my first surgery at 25.
Was that you were in college?
So I was in college.
Okay.
I had to quit college because I got sick.
Okay.
And then I came home. And so we'll do this little fast track here. Came home. Came home in May, and then in September, one of my best friends in Chico died.
Okay.
My little sister, my daughter's named after him, was Soraya, so my daughter's named after Soraya. So she passed away, and that changed everything. It took all my party wild, screeching halt. So I came home sick, that changed my life, and I was like, now what am I going to do when I grow up?
Right.
My parents had moved back to Alaska.
Okay.
So I started working front desk in Allure. They were cool. They knew that I had health issues, and so we kind of would make my schedule kind of somewhat around that. Eventually, I was influenced to get my aesthetic license because I was always doing makeup. And it was a really flexible, awesome job around being sick. I could kind of move my schedule around. And I started doing aesthetics full time.
Okay.
Moved to San Diego on a whim.
Okay.
Lived 8 blocks from the beach. You're like, wait, what?
No way. Yeah.
In the middle of this.
Things are going together, we're getting aesthetics, and we're moving to San Diego.
Yeah, I was like, I don't like it here anymore. I broke up with a boyfriend who's still one of my best friends, and just said I'm leaving. So I, on a whim, 6 weeks, packed my stuff, moved to San Diego.
Okay.
Went down there, and that's where I had my first surgery.
Okay.
So, so we found out that I had endometriosis, and it was pretty advanced. We knew that.
Okay.
Felt really good for a couple years. I started working as an educator.
Okay.
As an esthetician for a skincare line.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. So,
yeah.
Okay.
So I got to travel all over SoCal and
okay.
Teach people about the line I was working for. Started to get sick again.
Okay.
Came back to Alaska again with my family.
Okay.
So Alaska's where I always ended up.
It's the hub.
It's the hub.
Yeah. Anytime there was a difficult point, you come back.
To my family.
Right. Right.
So I came back and then worked at a medical spa for a couple years, and then said I'm starting my own makeup line.
Yeah. Well, that makes. I mean, just based on your story, the outside looking in, it's the most logical decision. You know what I mean? You already had the business owner kind of mentality, not that you were entrepreneurial necessarily,
right,
but that you liked the organization part of it, right? You always had your little pieces in the little student government or whatever that was.
Yeah,
right?
I always had a leadership thing. I started doing a lot of bridal makeup, to be truthful, and I hated that there was nothing healthy. At that time, oh God, it was 20 years ago now, almost 15. The cosmetics was different. It was full of carcinogens. Now a lot of people will do more organic stuff.
Yeah.
But at that point, they wouldn't. So I started my own mineral makeup line. I literally would mix the colors to create colors. I worked with a scientist to make my own line.
Yeah.
And I went from being like this side gig, working at a spa, to really huge. Like, I mean, it was a very successful business.
Well, the other thing too that you said is like one of, even when you were starting to go to college, like one of your core things that you were looking at doing was helping to make people feel better. Makeup, and good healthy makeup. Like what better way to do it? Right. It makes perfect sense. And you're feeling the need of the business owner thing, and you're a little crazy, so the craziness is good for you.
Thanks, Alex. Shh, you be quiet.
So now, after you said you did the thing in California, came back, worked here for a little bit, then that's when Core started?
Yeah.
Or were you like trying to develop the makeup line first, and you were like, I should just go for it?
Well, I met really cool contacts when I was in San Diego. So when I came home ultimately and started working in the spa industry, I went back to San Diego and I met with them and created a line. I mean, I mixed minerals myself, but created a line, like with the eyeshadows. I picked out the ingredients and the colors and all that stuff. So I made really good contacts down there. So San Diego kind of brought me to there too. Right. So then I came home and I did very good with that makeup line. Really good. I used to do all the trade shows and State Fair for like 9 years. I was like a carny. So we did good. And
then what?
and then.
So before we move on to that, was there anything in that time that you like that really sticks out to you? Like the time that you owned Core Cosmetics, I know you were doing a lot of stuff. Was there any like certain thing that you were like, this was definitely like 100% positive, like I'm glad that happened while I owned Core Cosmetics?
Well, we had a lot of fun owning Core. Like we sponsored like a lot of events, more like nightlife-y stuff. Like I said, State Fair was always fun. We'd stay at, there's hot tubs in the middle of the night. We'd stay at Sluice Box. Like we had so much fun. Yeah. I think some of my really core, great friendships were built during those years, which is important to me. Okay. But as far as like business, I think importantly, what worked, I figured out with marketing, because I did everything myself. Like I didn't want to hand it off to anyone else. So from everything from my brochures to my flyers, I had someone help me with my logo originally. Everything from that point on, I did
all
myself.
The rest of the marketing.
Everything I did myself.
Okay.
So I'd always been a good marketer. Like I always could tell people, hey, let's do this, and kind of influence them to do other things. But when I saw that what I was doing with a business could be that impactful, and I most importantly learned what not to do, that's where I think I really had a sense of, okay, I market a little different than most. I think outside the box than most, and started getting more confident with the marketing stuff. Okay. I mean, I still think I do things a lot different. I look at someone's marketing plan and I pick it apart to this day. Right. Because I know what doesn't work. Like everyone's always like, this works, that works, try this, try that. They have all these ideas. That's great. A lot of those things cost money. But I've tried all those things. And
so I think the key with marketing is not that it's something necessarily doesn't work, because literally going door to door talking to people work, like it's just cost.
Everything
There's things more
works.
efficient.
It's just being, I shouldn't put it that way, you're right. It's not about it working or not, it's about how you can be cost effective
100%
and still get a lot of attention or accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Right. You don't have to, I don't believe, if you've got a sense about it, that you need to spend $1 million on a print ad when ultimately, like, there's so many other things that
you spend $1,000 on a print ad, $1,000 on an email campaign, and $1,000 on a social media campaign. In today's day and age, a social media campaign is gonna be the best.
It is, and people will fight. Fruitful. People will fight to the death. They're like, oh no, my print ad in this newspaper. Cool with your bad self. Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, if you take that same amount of money and you put it into social media and you do it right, you're gonna get so much more from social media, but nobody wants to listen. But I am proof of the pudding. I mean, I know from my business with both Core and also real estate what works. I do.
Well, so I think the biggest key with marketing is nothing is set in stone.
Right.
Today, social media is great. Tomorrow, it could be 100% different. Right. So the fact that you were at Core doing all the marketing yourself and testing yourself, and how long did you own Core?
So I started it in 2007, but then I did a standalone store with employees and everything from 2011 until 2015.
Okay. So 7, 15, about 8 years you're doing all the marketing yourself.
Right.
You know, you're seeing over 8 years, that's a crazy amount of time in the marketing industry.
And it's when social media
stuff changed.
And it's when social media boomed. So like, I mean, I always was like, tried to be a little bit more cutting edge, but at that time to be more cutting edge, it cost money.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know what you were doing.
Right.
And they didn't really release it. Like they didn't like talk about it. You couldn't go to forums and stuff like you could today. Yeah. But you know, through trial and error, and then also, I think, knowing some of those things, it's been, I mean, you can do so much more that people think that they can.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Every day I learn some more stuff on the social media, especially with these videos and stuff. It's crazy. So now core's kind of fading out.
Right.
Is the next step you jumped into real estate?
So core kind of faded out, but I think this is a big part of why. So core faded out. I had this group of girls that work with me from the beginning pretty much to the end. All my estheticians, and in the beauty industry, that's saying something. To have the same girls and you're not shifting employees every day. I mostly had the same group of girls from the time I started to the time I finished. And everyone was doing different things, going to Hawaii, having more kids, going to radiology school. Yeah. It was like, it was time for us to figure out where we were going. But I also ended up between 2015 and 2018, I had 3 major surgeries. Okay. So with endometriosis, I've had a total, with everything, of seven surgeries. Oh, okay. Yeah. I did IVF for my twins, to be able to have my twins, and that was a long time and a process. Right. So when you're, you know, and a lot of them were spread out through the years, but the last 3 were the biggest ones. I had a heart surgery. Okay. Do you know that? I did not know that. Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So I had heart surgery. Okay. And I'm pretty sure it's because of stress. I have SVT, so it's like my heart goes out of rhythm. So I had to go in through my groin and cut the rhythm, basically, to create. It's not a heart doctor. It's an electrophysiologist. But they cut. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. They cut what shoots the signals between my heart. They cauterize them to make sure that they beat correctly, because they misfire, and then they put you into like rhythm issues and can cause all sorts of other stuff. Okay. So I had that, a hysterectomy, full hysterectomy except one ovary, and then last January my last ovary decided to go twisty-roo on me and had emergency surgery. So, and which was actually the most painful of them all, the last one. So in that 3 years you had those 3 surgeries. Yeah. And the last 2, you said the last 2 or the last 3 were all like pretty close together? Like 6 months later you're having another one, 6 months later you're having another one, 6 months later. It was about about a year between all of them. Okay. And it was wild. So every time I felt like I would get ahead, something else would happen. I'd get ahead and something else would happen. Right. And then I was going through a divorce and something happened. So obviously it's hard to be a business owner with your hands in it. Something like marketing, much less business operations and everything like that. Right. Like obviously it's going to have some kind of downturn in your business. Yeah. The cat's away, the mice will play, as that old saying goes. Yeah. That and when you have such an avid hand, because I didn't delegate, and this is the key thing too that I've learned too, because I think delegation now, moving forward, is important. Doing it all yourself is good when you know how, like we just talked about. But I think something I'm learning recently is delegation is as important, if not more. Right. When you don't delegate properly, and you have something happen like that, and you can't do aesthetics because you can't be on your feet, and you can't do anything because you're drugged up on meds because you've had major surgeries, it is beyond impactful. Yeah. So I always suggest to people now is like, you know, even small business owners, you think you can't afford it. Well, you really can't afford it. Yeah. You think you can't afford it now, you're really not going to be able to afford it when you don't have anything. See, the key point that I want to focus on here is, we're going to jump a little bit. Look at you now. Some people would not be able to make it through that life, and they would still be struggling with it however long ago it was. Right. You know what I mean? It was 4 years ago now that you were the beginning of those surgeries and craziness, and look at you now. Yeah. Like all of those divorce, 3 surgeries, like struggle, you got kids, like you're a failing business. Alex, I had like nothing. Like Alex, you don't get it. Yeah. Like I literally went from being like this like crazy awesome on it, successful business, married, right? Yeah, to nothing.
all of it gone.
Gone.
Yeah.
Like gone. I mean, I tried to do it for myself with aesthetics, but it just was never the same. And so I'm like, here we go with the crying again. You know, but I think from going, you know, low to high to low again because of, you know, health, divorce, whatever. You know, being a single mom of twins, like I had them, you know, at least 70% of the time for a couple years, and then we're at 50-50 now. But for a long time, I mean, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. It's no wonder I had a heart issue. I mean, truly.
Yeah.
And
high stress.
And I have to say this because I think this is important for people to know about me. When the doctor went in to do my heart ablation, he said that he would, in his 22 years of doing the surgery, that he would barely touch my heart with the cauterizer, and I would like go into AFib. And he woke me up and he was like, in my 22 years of doing this surgery, I have never met anyone with a more sensitive heart. Isn't that?
Yeah. Surprise, surprise.
I know. So I think, you know, it, you know, just a lot. It was just a lot.
Yeah.
And then I started doing real estate.
Pump the brakes. Because this is key right here. Like this, like you were at your ground zero, like the bottom of the bottom, right? You're scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
Yeah.
And it would be real easy then to go get some kind of cush job, right? Some kind of like stress-free, like just kind of like coast out for a few years and build back from this.
Right.
Instead, you go into real estate and start building again right away.
Yeah, I mean, the month I joined, I had my last surgery. So, but I was already on a contract, my first contract, thank God. So it closed pretty quick after that.
Yeah.
I aligned myself with, I had some really great supportive people in my life that if without them, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, even who I was dating at the time was very supportive, very supportive, both financially, because he paid for everything, which was awesome, and also helped me with my business. I mean, I will give him that, you know. But
Has that sensitive heart again?
Yeah, I know. So, but I mean, I will say, you know, I had some very key people in my life that really believed in me, that did build me up, that helped me to be okay with where I was at, and my family. I mean, my grandma, my mom. I mean, I don't know what to do without my parents. Literally, everyone was helping me. They're like, "You can do this.
Yeah.
You can do this. We've seen you do it before.
Yeah. Which,
we believe in you."
No surprise, right? It's no surprise that you had this good foundation of people, because it's been a theme through your whole story that all you care about is helping other people and making them feel good.
But it was very hard to accept that from other people, because I was the one always doing that.
Right.
And so I had to drink humble pie. And
drink humble.
Whatever. Eat humble pie. I had to eat humble pie, and realize like sometimes you just have to say yes and take it from other people. And you know, Diet helped. Kristen Brown, Keenan, my parents. I had so many people that were just like, you can do this. You're gonna do this. And so I did it.
Yeah, you did.
I did it.
Because look at you now.
Yeah.
Look at you now. So you had that. It wasn't super small, but it was a pretty small stint in real estate, right?
Well, I started like December 2017, and I did pretty good for my first year. I mean, pretty good, and I made a name for myself. I think in social media. This year I would have done better for sure. I was killing it in real estate. I mean, I was starting to really get going.
Okay.
And I decided to put the brakes on, which is surprising to everyone. How many times did I call you? I called you like, Alex, what do you think about this?
So, you were going to kill it in real estate. Why would you stop? Why would you change?
So, I started being realistic after being a small business owner for so long. And honestly, my biggest thing was, I don't really want to get into this, but going through custody and child support orders and all that. When you're a small business owner, I was put a lot on the ringer for like, not much did you make? What's your deductions? And I was constantly having to like feel like I was showing this because I don't really want to get into all that.
Right.
There was a lot of pressure, and I was showing the truth, but I was made out to be something else. I think somebody trying, that's their job to do that. I get it. But and I was on the phone all the dang time with real estate. I felt like my kids, like I only have them week on, week off. They're 8 years old. Really, truly, they're only going to really want to hang out with me for 3 to 4 more years. And so for me, I waited out when my kids are going, Mom, can you get off the phone? And so I got offered this opportunity with Alyeska. And at first, when Naomi came to me, I was like, no, I'm not doing this.
Not a chance. No, I'm killing in real estate. No way.
I was like, no way. And so every time I met somebody, I met Kimbrough, and then I met Chelsea, and then I met Darcy. I mean, everybody I met, I was like, wow, this is actually, I could see myself fitting in this environment. It's a salaried position, bonus opportunities, and I am able to still keep my license on referral.
Yeah.
And so...
So you didn't quit real estate because of anything other than really it's personal reasons, right?
Right.
It's like you had to make a good decision for yourself and your family.
Right. And ultimately, I mean, I haven't quit yet. I'm still working the existing contracts I had because I didn't want to do a disservice to them customer service wise. I think that's most important to me. They're my friends, family, and I didn't want to do that. So they were really gracious and are letting me finish those out. And then I'll be on referral, and I have a huge sphere, so I still can have people come to me, and I can, refer them out. And plus I never want to take that test again. I was like, heck no, I'm not taking that again. So I made sure that I was still able to do everything that I wanted to do. And this is such a good opportunity for me.
So now, let's get in. Did you ask me like one more time, like another phone call? What should I do?
Oh God! I was like, Alex, okay, here's what because every time I'd be like, no, then I'd say, here's what I'm looking for, and they call back and say, okay, well, we can make that work for you. So it was like I couldn't, and it is a great company. I mean, I've been here for 6 weeks now, and I'm loving this. I mean, all I'm doing is talking to realtors all day and building relationships.
Tell me that part. We're kind of tethering down to where you currently are. So what are you doing with Alyeska Title? What can they expect? Go into that kind of business, social media.
So I now am taking the media and marketing over for Alyeska Title, and so you'll see us more of a social media presence. I'm not going to push like title law every day. I'm going to talk about the fun stuff that we do to support agents' businesses, and my whole job. I don't know what my job description is. My job is to get
You're gonna pull out
agents.
A pamphlet.
Is to get agents and lenders or first-time buyers, whoever it might be, anyone with title questions, title needs title help, closings, to come to Alyeska and give us a shot.
Okay.
And so, customer relations. So if someone were to have an issue, I want to know about it, so then I can help to fix that problem, and we can do better as a company. And it's perfect because I get to do social media marketing for Alyeska, which I love, obviously. And I have such great relationships with agents. Like one thing
you're already in the industry. It makes perfect sense.
Well, and I was nice to everybody. Like, somebody, I was listening to a training the other day, and somebody was saying that they were in a multiple offer setting, and that at the table, that they literally said, even though this other agent might have offered you $2,000 more, this other agent is easier to work with, has better customer service, and is a nice person. And you know what? At the end of the day, when I was around agents, I really tried to be a nice person and always be gracious and say thank you. And I hope that because of that, switching over to this, they'll follow suit and give us a shot at Alyeska. But that, for me, was the relationship building. All I'm doing is hanging out with my friends all day. I love it. I was like, this is the best job ever.
So what I got out of that story is if anybody has any complaints, go talk to you. And that's pretty much it.
Only if they're easy complaints. No, really. I mean, yes, but I would love problem solving. That's, I owned businesses my whole life. I managed people. I managed 9 women. I don't think it could be harder than managing 9 women. problem solving is my thing. I do want to problem solve. I do want to do better. And now it's kind of fun not doing it for myself, but doing it for somebody else. And having something consistent that I can count on, and I have benefits for my babies and a 401k and like all the good things in life. So this is good. But I never would have had that if I wouldn't have gotten a real estate license. I mean, I was literally recruited for this. And I wouldn't have had that if I wouldn't have had a strong social media presence, and I wouldn't have had those good relationships, and I wouldn't have been as successful quick with real estate as I would have been, as I was. You know? So all those things kind of led to this.
So I don't know how long we're getting, but we're getting pretty up there. I always finish with 3 things, but before we get into that, I really want to get you on camera. Surprise. Talking about how would you've talked about how good you are with marketing and social media so far.
Right.
Specifically, using marketing to pick up a customer and drive growth. How do you do that? Like, you talked a lot about social media, but like really like solid advice. Like, you have business owners, realtors, all kinds of people watching this. If you could tell them like how you're doing it to pick up customers, what's some like actual like post 3 times a day, or like what, that kind of advice, this kind of advertisement, this kind of.
So I'm gonna actually take a step back, because I think there's a key to that goes hand in hand that I think a lot of people miss, and I think it's relationship building.
Okay.
Truly, it's 100%. Getting to know people like what you're doing right now. Relationship building is key. You're looking at who your demographic is. One thing that I'm sure if anyone's ever taken a media class that they've gone through is they literally take a piece of paper and you say, okay, here is Amy. She's got 2 kids. She's this age. You know, you break it down.
Your ideal customer.
Your ideal customer. I think that is key when you are trying to target market. I think a lot of people lose that, and they'll be like, oh, I'm just going to like put this ad out here for all of Anchorage. You're wasting your money.
Boost a post. Here we go. $10.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to target certain ads for certain demographics, and I think that a lot of people miss that. They just say, oh look, I'm an 18 to 55, cost me $5, I'll put it out to Anchorage.
And then they see that number though, it's like, wow, I can reach 2,000 people for $5.
Right.
Oh, right.
But if you can hit 2,000 Amy's for $5, and that's your person,
100%.
You're gonna get way more out of it than you ever would.
Gary Vee says, super simple word that I'm just going to drop on you, contextualized creative. So all the creative, if you put something behind it, it needs to be in context to the person. I like local businesses, or I like the Raiders, or you know what I mean, like whatever you can. If you came to me and you were like, hey, you're a Raiders fan, you should use Alyeska title, I'd be like, that's the one I'm using. Just because she's talking to me.
So you take multiple ads with multiple small demographics, and that is way more effective than one big ad in one big area. 100%. I mean, that's the quickest, easy snap, thing to social media. I think that helps.
It's easy, and there's so many options on social media. Specifically, like if you're just talking about Facebook, you're like, I want to go run an ad, and you just start messing with that. There's so many different options and demographics, and finding your Amy in that, crazy. Well, can get real hard.
I think also that something that's always worked for me, that was the most successful thing I ever did, was relative marketing. So like, if anyone ever looked at my Instagram page, everyone like, it's not real. Hello. But you know, I mean, it looks fun. We're always doing things. I have a good, awesome group of people that I hang out with. We go all over the place. We travel together. We go to lakes. We go to parties. We're in the crowd.
Doing stuff.
It'd be safe to say that I probably get 5 to 10 people a Thursday or Friday that go, what are you doing this weekend? Can we go? And I'm like, yes, come, and I'll invite them, and they never show up. But it's because, and then I would tag in whatever, like core, or tag in real estate, or now Alyeska. I tag in my business about every 3 posts, because and if you like fishing, post your fishing posts, and then put your real estate in every once in a while. But I think you find the people that relate to you, and they want to be around you, and they want to support your business and whatever it is that you do. And a lot of people miss that. They're like, I'm going to make a business page, and I'm going to throw up every open house I've ever done. Boring. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They want to know what you're doing on Friday. They want to know that your kid fell down the stairs. They want to know that your grandma's sick so they can say they're sorry. People want to know you, and that's where people are like, I'm not putting myself on social media, I'm gonna hide who I am. That's great, and there is a point where I get that, but I do think like on Instagram when it's just pictures, you can create any story and photos you want. You can, and I think that it's people follow you because they something relatable.
My small argument to that would be right, we're gonna get into it.
Yeah.
People who don't want to put themselves out on social media don't necessarily have to.
Right.
It's more like for instance, like if you don't want to put your kids on social media, you can still not put your kids on social media and tell people what you're doing on a daily basis. Or even further than that, Pepsi, who's the CEO of Pepsi right now?
I don't know. My sister's second in charge of Alaska.
Well, you don't know though, because Pepsi doesn't have the personal brand; they just have the Pepsi brand.
Right.
So you can build your social media behind your real estate business or your whatever that is. You know what I mean? You don't have to.
You don't have to do that. But I personally, with my sphere, found it way more effective to do that. I mean, I had a real estate page, but what I would do is I would take and put all my real estate on there, and then I would bring it to my personal pages, and I'd teeter back and forth between my business and my personal page. Right. I think relative marketing of anything that I ever did, ever in the history of time, no matter what I was doing, my Instagram page and gaining all these followers all over the place, truly all came because everybody wanted to know what we were doing on Friday night. I don't think there was anything else to it than that. Yeah. I really don't.
Well, people do business with people they like.
Yeah, and if you seem likable, which I hope I'm likable, but
seem likable. Okay, so build relationships. Yeah. Use social media to find your Amy, and post what you're actually doing. Be real on social media, and your customers are going to come naturally after that. Right. Customers, clients, whatever your business is.
Be relative. Be likable. Do something that somebody else is attracted to. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Whatever it might be. Like, you like to throw rocks, throw a rock. I mean, whatever it is that you like to do, showcase what you like to do, because you never know who's out there it's going to like you like the Raiders. If I was like, Alyeska, we like the Raiders. I mean, that's, you just find the relativity. What's that say, Ford? Family, occupation, what is it? They have this thing. Family, occupation, it's, oh boy.
It's not relatives.
Like it's not. Recreation
and dreams.
So if you, I mean, really, truly, if you find one of those four in people on social media, and you kick them, or in real life, even better.
But then you're relatable. Any of those things, any of those four things in yourself, if you can relate to someone through that, 100%.
Or in awkward conversations, it's like, when you're sitting there with somebody you don't know, if you talk about any of those four things, you're gonna find something that somebody else is that you have in common. Find the common ground, whatever it might be. Social media and in real life. I feel like that's the number one thing you can do in marketing. Is just finding a common ground with someone else. Right. Well, that just took me how long to just say that?
Bam! There it is. Okay. So we have four things, and then we're gonna finish up. The first thing is I saw a few comments here, and I want to make sure there's no pictures. She was an experiment.
Right. Oh, thanks, Mike.
Okay, so there's no questions. I just wanted to make sure if anybody had questions, we covered those. Okay. So then the three things I always end with. One, was there anything that you wanted to talk about today that we did not talk about?
No.
Okay. That's the normal answer I get. Number two, I always like to give you the opportunity to give your little stick. You know what I mean? Like, this is how you contact me. This is why you should use Alyeska. This is, you know what I mean? So that way people can see at the end of the video, like Instagram pages, Facebook pages, phone numbers. This is why you should use us, like all of that stuff. Your business pitch.
Right.
No pressure. Go.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even practice my elevator pitch. I was like, why did you practice this? Jeez, way to put me on the spot. No, with Alyeska title, you can look above this video, right? Because it's going to have the description and it'll tag Alyeska and me in it. There you go.
And I'm going to ask you to put in the comments all of the...
Right, and you know me, I'm going to share it all over the place. So you'll see a way to contact me. I think most people know how. Also, you can text me, and I should just put my number out here. Don't give me a weirdo. Nobody weird text me.
You can. We'll just put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments. But you can text me for anything title related. Feel free to reach out. I mean, like I said, I want to problem solve. I want to have an opportunity. I want your feedback, and find me. Talk to me.
So now my favorite part is that I didn't tell you about, and I always love putting you on the spot. Is and I got this from Gary Vee. He always gives his guests. There's going to be, I've been saying 1,500, and it hasn't been 1,500 recently. It's been more like 1,000 people see this video.
Oh, great!
If you could ask, if like if that 1,000 people were in one room and you could ask them any question that you wanted, what would that question be? One question. And if you could make it like, you could be like, follow me on Instagram, or you could be like, what did you dream about last night? Like,
well, of course I'm going to say follow me on Instagram. Hello.
But whatever, make it selfish, make it whatever's on your mind today.
No, I don't want to just use this for like a self-promote thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they want to follow me on Instagram, you can. But
that's a question. You gotta go.
No. I just think I would like to know, honestly, like, this is gonna sound really funny, but like, what makes you happy? Like, if you could post something underneath this.
Well, so what I'm gonna ask them to do is either comment on this, or tag you in your page, or send you a DM, or some way. Anybody that's like just texts you randomly and be like, "This makes me happy." You're gonna know what they're talking about.
Yeah, or this makes me happy, or who impacted you in a positive way.
Okay.
I want to know. I want to know from your followers, like, who was that person that influenced you in a positive way. And on that note, I'll say who mine is.
Go.
And you say who uses the next. I'll put you back on the spot.
That's hard to do.
No, mine's my mom. For sure. Like, oh my gosh. Like, if I'm like 1/10 of my mom, then I'm happy. Like, she's like the best. Like, go get her public speaking. Like, she'd get up in front of anyone. She's so bold. She's so awesome. She's my influence. She's my world. Okay. So I want to know from your followers who impacted their life like that. And
who's that person?
And who's your person?
My mom. My stepmom. Yeah. Marilyn. Mayor Dizzle. 100%. Easy. That's not even hard to find. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Cool. So Amber Brophy. There she is. Follow her. It's Amber Brophy on Instagram. No,
it's Alaskan Amber Nicole.
Okay. Yeah. Alaskan Amber Nicole on Instagram. Amber Brophy on Facebook. She'll give your number. Don't be weird and text her something crazy.
Jump in my DMs.
Okay, that's it. We're done. How long do you think it was? It was pretty long. Give me a high five. Okay.
What do you think? 45 minutes?
Something like that. You have to finish in the bottom right. It always gets crazy small like that, so I need you to finish that, and I'm gonna hit this one.
All right. Goodbye.